Have you ever looked around your home and felt weighed down by the things you've accumulated over the years? At first, they seemed useful, sentimental, or even necessary, but as time has passed, they've turned into clutter that takes up space without adding value. Many people don't realize just how much unnecessary belongings affect their daily life, their peace of mind, and even their health. As we age, simplifying our surroundings becomes more important than ever. A home filled with too much stuff can become difficult to clean, navigate, and manage. Clutter can increase stress, create safety hazards, and make everyday life more complicated than it needs to be. But here's the good news: decluttering isn't about losing things. It's about gaining freedom. Today, we're going to explore 6 types of household items that you should declutter before turning 70. Letting go of these things will not only free up space in your home, but also create a calmer, more functional environment where you can truly enjoy your daily life. If you're ready to make your home a place of comfort and ease, take a moment to subscribe to Graceful Elderly and join our community of people who believe in simplifying life and making every moment count. If you've already started decluttering or have thoughts on today's topic, leave a comment and share your experience. 1. Worn out and unused furniture. Making space for comfort. One of the biggest sources of clutter in many homes is furniture that no longer serves a purpose. Over the years, it's easy to accumulate extra chairs, tables, and cabinets, some inherited, some purchased, and some simply kept out of habit. But furniture that's broken, uncomfortable, or rarely used doesn't add value to your home. It takes up space and makes movement more difficult. Think about that old recliner that no one sits in, the massive dining table that no longer fits your lifestyle, or the dresser with sticky drawers that frustrates you every time you try to open it. These pieces are not enhancing your life. They are making your home feel smaller, harder to clean, and more difficult to navigate. Take Frank, for example. He's 74 and has lived in the same house for decades. Over the years, he kept accumulating furniture, believing he might need it one day. But as time passed, he noticed that his home felt crowded and difficult to move through. His living room had 5 chairs, but only 2 were ever used. His bedroom was filled with unnecessary cabinets that made cleaning a challenge. One day, he decided to clear out the furniture that no longer served him. He removed a bulky coffee table that was always in the way, gave away chairs that no one used, and rearranged his space to be more open and inviting. The result? He felt relieved, free, and more at ease in his own home. A home should be a place of comfort and simplicity, not a storage unit for things that no longer serve a purpose. If you have furniture that isn't adding value to your life, consider letting it go and making room for what truly matters. 2. Clothes you never wear. Simplifying your wardrobe. At some point, we all hold on to clothing we no longer wear. Maybe it's a suit that hasn't fit in years, a dress bought for a special occasion long ago, or a pile of old t-shirts sitting untouched in drawers. Whatever the reason, holding on to unnecessary clothing creates clutter and makes getting dressed more complicated than it needs to be. A cluttered closet filled with unworn clothes doesn't make life easier, it makes it harder. It takes longer to find what you actually wear, and the excess items make your space feel overwhelming. Take Linda, for example. At 72, she had a closet packed with clothes, but she only wore a handful of outfits regularly. She had dresses from the 80s, jackets she hadn't touched in decades, and shoes that looked nice but hurt her feet every time she wore them. One day, she made a decision. She pulled everything out of her closet and sorted it into 3 piles. 1 for clothes she loved and actually wore, 1 for items that no longer fit or felt comfortable, and 1 for things she was keeping, just in case. That last pile was the hardest to let go of, But as she started decluttering, she felt a sense of relief and simplicity. Now, instead of feeling frustrated every morning, she has a wardrobe that works for her, not against her, if your closet is overflowing with clothes you never wear. Ask yourself, do I feel good when I wear this? Have I worn this in the past year? Is this piece still practical for my lifestyle? If the answer is no, it may be time to let it go. Your closet should reflect who you are today, not who you used to be. 3. Expired medications and old toiletries, prioritizing safety. One of the most overlooked forms of clutter is expired medications and old toiletries. These items tend to pile up without us realizing it. Maybe it's a bottle of pain relievers from years ago, half-used prescriptions, or skincare products you bought but never really liked. Holding on to expired medications isn't just clutter, it's a potential health risk. Over time, medications lose effectiveness, and in some cases, they can become harmful. Many people keep old prescriptions, just in case, but the truth is, if you ever need that medication again, it's safer to get a fresh prescription that's appropriate for your current health needs. Toiletries are no different. That old bottle of lotion, the expired sunscreen, or the perfume you stopped wearing years ago, they all take up space without serving a purpose. Many personal care products break down over time, making them less effective or even irritating to the skin. Take Robert, for example. At 75, he considered himself an organized person, but one day he opened his medicine cabinet and realized it was filled with expired painkillers, half-used antibiotic creams, and prescriptions he no longer needed. He decided to clear them out, keeping only what was necessary. Afterward, he felt a surprising sense of relief. His space was cleaner, and he knew everything in his cabinet was safe and useful. Decluttering your medications and toiletries isn't just about tidying up. It's about prioritizing your health and safety. If you haven't checked your medicine cabinet or bathroom drawers in a while, now is the time. Look through your medications. If they're expired, dispose of them safely. If it's a prescription you no longer need, don't keep it just in case. When it comes to toiletries, be honest. If you haven't used it in over a year, you probably never will. Let it go and enjoy the simplicity of having only what you truly need. Decluttering isn't about getting rid of things for the sake of it. It's about making space for a home that feels lighter, more peaceful, and easier to navigate. Holding on to unnecessary items only creates stress, makes cleaning harder, and fills your home with objects that no longer serve you. By letting go of worn-out furniture, clothes you never wear, expired medications, and unnecessary belongings, you're not losing anything, you're gaining freedom. Your home should be a place of comfort and ease, where everything around you is intentional and meaningful. Every item you let go of is a step toward simplicity, clarity, and peace of mind. The question is, what will you choose to let go of first? Clearing out kitchen clutter, keeping only what you use. The kitchen is often one of the most cluttered spaces in a home, filled with gadgets, appliances, and dishware that rarely get used. Over the years, it's easy to accumulate extra pots, pans, utensils, and specialty cooking tools that seemed useful at the time, but now take up valuable space. A cluttered kitchen not only makes cooking more difficult, but it can also create safety hazards, especially when reaching for heavy or rarely used items. One of the most common culprits is old or mismatched dishware. Many people hold on to extra plates, cups, and bowls just in case, but in reality, they only use a small portion of their collection daily. If cabinets are filled with chipped mugs, duplicate items, or dishes that never see the light of day, it might be time to simplify. Another issue is small kitchen appliances that seemed like a great idea, but now sit unused. A bread maker, an old blender, A juicer or a coffee machine that no longer works can take up valuable counter and cabinet space. If an appliance hasn't been used in the past year, chances are it's not needed. Take Mary, for example. At 73, she had a kitchen filled with gadgets she barely touched. She had an entire drawer of plastic containers without matching lids, a slow cooker she hadn't used in years, and more coffee mugs than she could ever need. One day, she decided to declutter her kitchen, keeping only what she actually used. The result? Cooking became easier, her kitchen felt more spacious, and she no longer felt overwhelmed every time she opened a cabinet. A simple rule to follow in decluttering the kitchen is to ask, do I use this regularly? If the answer is no, it might be time to let it go. A streamlined kitchen means less mess, easier access to essentials, and a more enjoyable cooking experience, letting go of sentimental clutter, keeping the memories, not the stuff on of the hardest parts of decluttering is deciding what to do with sentimental items. Over the years, people collect gifts, souvenirs, old letters, and family heirlooms. These items hold memories, which makes it difficult to part with them, even when they're collecting dust in boxes or taking up space in closets. The truth is, memories are not tied to objects. Holding on to a physical item doesn't make a memory. Stronger, it's the feelings and experiences behind the object that truly matter. Many older adults struggle with letting go of sentimental belongings because they fear losing a connection to the past. But keeping too many things can actually create stress and make it harder to enjoy the present. A good way to start decluttering sentimental items is to choose a few meaningful pieces to keep and let go of the rest. If an item is stored away and never looked at, is it truly adding value? Consider taking photos of special items before parting with them, allowing the memory to be preserved without the physical clutter. Take John, for example. At 76, he had boxes of old birthday cards, souvenirs from trips, and clothes that belonged to family members who had passed away. He realized that while these objects reminded him of special moments, he didn't actually need them to keep the memories alive. Instead of keeping everything, he selected a few cherished items and created a small memory box. He donated the rest. Feeling lighter and more at peace with his space, letting go of sentimental clutter doesn't mean forgetting the past. It means making room for the future, ensuring that the home remains a place of comfort and joy, rather than a storage unit for items that no longer serve a purpose. Reducing paper clutter, organizing important documents. Paper clutter is something that builds up over time without us realizing it. Old bills, expired warranties, newspapers, magazines, and stacks of unopened mail can quickly take over desks, drawers, and filing cabinets. Many people hold onto paperwork thinking they might need it someday, but in reality, most documents can be safely discarded once they are no longer relevant. One of the most important steps in organizing paperwork is to separate what is necessary from what can be thrown away. Important documents like birth certificates, legal paperwork, medical records, and financial statements should be stored in a safe, accessible place. Everything else, old receipts, outdated manuals, expired policies, can often be shredded or recycled. Another major source of clutter is junk mail and old magazines. Many people keep magazines with the intention of reading them later, but they often pile up, taking up valuable space without ever being used. If magazines or newspapers haven't been touched in months, it's time to let them go. Take Susan, for example. At 70, she had stacks of old paperwork scattered throughout her home. She had bills from 10 years ago, expired insurance policies, and magazines she never got around to reading. One day, she sat down with a simple rule: if she hadn't needed the paper in over a year, it was probably safe to throw away. After sorting through everything, She created a small, organized filing system for important documents and eliminated the rest. A clutter-free home isn't just about having less stuff, it's about having more space for what truly matters. Decluttering. Paper reduces stress, makes it easier to find essential documents when needed, and creates a more peaceful living environment, making room for what matters most. Decluttering isn't just about getting rid of things, it's about creating a home that supports the life you want to live. As people age, their needs change, and holding on to unnecessary items only makes daily life more difficult. Removing clutter means less stress, fewer hazards, and a space that feels lighter and more inviting when a home is filled only with useful, meaningful, and joyful items. Daily life becomes easier, simpler, and more enjoyable. There's no more frustration searching for things, no more struggling to clean around excess furniture, and no more feeling overwhelmed by clutter that serves no purpose. Decluttering doesn't have to happen all at once. Even small steps like removing a few unused items from the kitchen, donating old clothes, or organizing important documents can make a big difference. Every item that is let go of is a step toward a home that is peaceful, functional, and filled with only the things that truly matter. At the end of the day, a home should be a place of comfort and joy, not a burden to manage. Letting go of what no longer serves you allows you to focus on what does, living with ease, freedom, and clarity. Clearing out the garage and storage spaces, letting go of the just-in-case mentality. One of the most cluttered areas in any home is often the garage, basement, or attic, places where things get stored and forgotten for years. Many people hold on to old tools, broken appliances, outdated decorations, or even furniture they think they might use again someday. But as time passes, these storage areas become overwhelming and difficult to manage, filled with items that no longer serve a purpose. Holding on to things just in case is a habit that creates unnecessary clutter and mental weight. In reality, most of these items will never be used again. Old cans of paint, rusted gardening tools, or broken electronics take up space, but offer no real value. Instead of keeping them, it's better to donate, recycle, or discard them, making room for what truly matters. Take George, for example. At 74, he had a garage packed with things he hadn't touched in years. There were boxes of holiday decorations from decades ago, tools he no longer needed, and furniture he had planned to fix, but never did. Every time he opened the garage, he felt overwhelmed. One day, he decided to clear it out. He donated usable items, threw away broken ones, and organized the things he truly needed. By the end of the process, he felt lighter and more at peace. A cluttered garage or basement isn't just an inconvenience, it can also be a safety hazard. Items stacked high, old boxes, and unused equipment can create tripping dangers or even attract dust and pests. Keeping only what is essential ensures that storage areas remain functional, clean, and easy to navigate. Letting go of hobby supplies that no longer serve you over the years. Many people pick up hobbies, crafting, woodworking, sewing, or collecting different items. While hobbies bring joy, they can also lead to an accumulation of materials that are no longer useful. Unfinished projects, excess supplies, or hobby-related tools that haven't been used in years can take up valuable space and create unnecessary clutter. It's common to feel attached to hobby supplies because they represent time, money, and creativity. However, if they are sitting unused, collecting dust, and creating frustration, they are no longer adding value. Instead of keeping them, consider donating to someone who will use them. Take Martha, for example. She had always loved knitting, but hadn't picked up her needles in years. Yet, her craft room was overflowing with yarn, patterns, and unfinished projects. Every time she walked past it, she felt guilty for not using them. One day, she decided to donate her supplies to a local community center. She kept a few of her favorite materials and let go of the rest. Instead of feeling like she was losing something, she felt relief her space was cleaner, and she no longer felt pressured to return to a hobby she had outgrown. Hobbies should bring joy, not guilt. Keeping only what is truly being used allows space for new interests, new experiences, and a clutter-free home, reducing duplicate items, keeping only what's necessary. Many people accumulate duplicate items over time, multiple sets of dishes, extra kitchen tools, too many towels or blankets. While having backups can be useful, having too many of the same item just creates clutter. In the kitchen, it's common to have several spatulas, multiple mixing bowls, or extra baking sheets. But how many are actually being used? In the linen closet, stacks of sheets, towels, and blankets often pile up, but only a few get used regularly. Reducing duplicates frees up space and makes it easier to find what is truly needed. Take Evelyn, for example. At 71, she had a kitchen full of pots and pans, but she always reached for the same 2 or 3. Her linen closet was stuffed with sheets and towels, but she only rotated between a couple of sets. One day, she decided to keep only what she needed and donate the rest. After decluttering, she found that her home felt more organized, and daily tasks became simpler. A good rule of thumb is, if you haven't used it in the past year, you probably don't need it. Keeping just the essentials creates a home that feels spacious, functional, and easy to maintain. Decluttering is not about getting rid of everything, it's about creating a home that supports the life you want to live. Keeping unnecessary furniture, unused clothing, extra dishware, or sentimental clutter doesn't add value. It takes up space and creates stress. By letting go of things that no longer serve you, you gain more than just a tidy home. You gain more space to move freely without tripping over unnecessary items, less time spent cleaning and organizing things. You don't use a sense of mental clarity and peace knowing your home only contains what truly matters, the ability to focus on the present rather than holding on to things from the past. Many people fear that decluttering means losing memories, but the truth is, memories are in your heart, not in objects. Keeping a few meaningful items while letting go of excess allows you to honor the past without being weighed down by it. Every small step in decluttering is a step toward a simpler, happier, and more comfortable life. Removing unused and unnecessary items creates a space that feels refreshing, peaceful, and perfectly suited for the years ahead. Decluttering is not about loss, it's about making space for what truly matters. When a home is filled with unnecessary objects, it creates an environment that feels heavy, overwhelming, and difficult to manage. But when everything in a home serves a purpose, adds value, or brings joy, it becomes a place of comfort, ease, and peace. Many people fear that letting go of things means losing a part of themselves, but the truth is, memories live in your heart, not in objects. Holding on to things you don't need only makes it harder to enjoy the present. A home should reflect who you are today, not just who you were in the past. One of the greatest benefits of decluttering is the emotional freedom that comes with it. People often don't realize how much stress and mental burden clutter creates. Every pile of old papers, every unused piece of furniture, every closet stuffed with unworn clothes represents decisions waiting to be made. When those things are cleared out, a feeling of lightness and relief follows. Take Helen, for example. At 75, she had an attic full of boxes she hadn't opened in decades. She kept them because she thought she might need something one day. But when she finally went through them, she realized that most of the items held no real value in her life anymore. She donated what was useful, recycled what wasn't, and felt an overwhelming sense of relief knowing that she was no longer holding on to things out of habit or fear. Letting go isn't about forgetting the past. It's about making room for new experiences, new joys, and a home that feels truly peaceful. One of the most practical reasons to declutter is that a simpler home is easier to maintain. As people age, keeping up with household chores becomes more challenging. A house filled with excess furniture, cluttered cabinets, and overflowing storage spaces makes cleaning harder and moving around more difficult. By reducing unnecessary belongings, everyday life becomes simpler and more enjoyable. Cleaning takes less time, finding things becomes easier, and there's no longer a sense of frustration caused by too much clutter. Richard, for example, had always been proud of his home, but as he got older, he found it harder to keep up with daily maintenance. His shelves were filled with books he never read. His closets were packed with clothes he didn't wear, and every surface in his home seemed to collect dust faster than he could clean. When he started decluttering, he immediately noticed how much easier it was to keep his home tidy. With fewer things to manage, he could spend more time doing what he loved: gardening, reading, and enjoying quiet mornings with a cup of coffee. Keeping only what brings joy and value. Key to a peaceful home isn't having nothing, it's having only what truly matters. Instead of thinking of decluttering as getting rid of things, think of it as curating a home that supports the life you want to live. A good way to approach this is by asking, does this item serve a purpose in my daily life? Does it bring me joy, comfort, or meaning? Would my home feel more peaceful without it? If the answer is no, then it might be time to let it go. The space in your home is valuable. It should be filled with things that make life better, not harder. The heart of decluttering is the idea of simplifying life. Having fewer things doesn't mean living with less. It means living with more clarity, more peace, and more freedom. It means walking into a home that feels open, organized, and welcoming. It means having more time, more energy, and more room for what truly matters. By removing clutter, life becomes lighter and more enjoyable. No more searching for misplaced items. No more tripping over furniture that no longer serves a purpose. No more feeling overwhelmed by stuff that no longer adds value. Instead, every corner of your home becomes a reflection of your needs, your joys, and your priorities. Aging should not mean being burdened by the past. It should mean living fully in the present, with a home that supports comfort, ease, and happiness. Decluttering is a gift you give to yourself, a way to create space for peace, simplicity, and a future filled with joy.